fix the broken? Can you feel my? Can you hopeless? Well, I'm begging on my knees. Can you save my bastard soul? Will you wait for me? I'm sorry, brother, so sorry, lover. Forgive me, father, I love you, mother. Can you hear the silence? Can you see the dark? Can you fix a broken? Can you feel my heart? Can you feel my to not feel at all. The higher I get, the lower I'll sink. I can't drown my demons, they know how to swim. I'm scared to get close and I hate being alone. I long for that feeling to not feel at all. The higher I get, the lower I'll sink. I can't drown my demons, they know how to swim.
in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, we did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right.
We've taken control of the oil in the Middle East, the oil that we're talking about.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create.
We choose truth over facts.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. The foothills of the Himalayas.
Television is what people are saying.
We are fighting Satan himself.
Journalists, ask them the question! Ask them! Ask them! Ask them!
Agreed that everybody wants stay inside. They should. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry. America.
Oh my fucking god.
Holy fuck.
This is gonna be...
Houston sucks today, too. Like,
This is gonna be such a dumpster fire. This is gonna be a dumpster fire, like with other dumpster fires, like added on to... It's gonna... Okay, you remember Power Rangers? How, like, all of them combined to form, like, a Megazord? This is gonna be like a mega dumpster fire. Holy shit. I'm so happy I'm watching this shit as someone who thinks both of these motherfuckers need the wall.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Much for the safety of Canada.
The safety of Canada. Dude, I had a crazy moment today.
That's crazy.
Because, so guys, if you're not aware, we just had a by-election, and, well, the conservatives beat out the liberals. And sure enough, it's the same up here. We're seeing the same propaganda. Everybody's like, thanks, NDP voters. You made the conservatives win. It's the same. Like, it's such a crazy moment.
It's everywhere in the world.
It's all China's fault. It's always China.
It's always
those goddamn
China.
Chinese.
Blame China.
I'm sorry, at this point, when someone's like, China's taking over government, I'm like, fucking good.
Dude, you're not
Let
serious?
them. Let them.
Their infrastructure, perfect. I would like high-speed rail as well.
Can they get
rail any day?
Can they get us to 70% home ownership? Like, I would like 70% of the country to own their homes, because right now we're just fucked. You're not owning a home in Canada right now. I'm sorry. Just not happening.
Communism, you won't own homes. China has 70% home ownership. Both they're capitalist. Wait, what?
The difference with China, when they do their quote-unquote imperialism, they usually, like in Africa, they build infrastructure and they help the people in Africa. What do? We bomb the shit out of them here in America. So
exactly.
What we call imperialism is literally just diplomacy.
Yeah, we bomb the shit out of Africa. What the Chinese do, they build infrastructure to give money to the people. You know, that's what they do.
Yeah, and then
that's their version of imperialism.
Wonder why they're friendly to Russia and China. And then
Russians.
Why they're all joining BRICS. Then they want to pretend like they like it's.
Hey guys, maybe let's join the side that isn't bombing us and blowing us up. What do you say? Fuck.
Would you like to get murdered or not murdered?
Would you like to get murdered or have really cool shit? Oh man, that's a hard one.
That's yeah. I'd rather not get murdered, but that's just me.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the Rumble, not Rumble exclusive, but Rumble primarily. Rumble
we're on Rumble
facilitated.
Yeah.
Rumble X, the Rumble X party of this dumpster fire in this fake democracy we call Western hegemony. I'm Snow Himbo. That handsome man up there is Yeti Jesus. That other handsome man up there is Angel.
Tonight. I'm Big Mac Crab, Greg. I
was going to introduce you, but you introduced yourself. Okay, fine. Oh no!
Whoops.
Oh no! There's a drinking game. No.
I found this drinking game on X.
I can
and
think of a lot more than this, but one thing stuck out to me, and that's at finished bottle either dies.
Either dies or they
Can
agree on
I just say it right now?
something.
It's like if Biden dies tonight, if Joe Biden dies live on television tonight, I will. Like I'm trying to think of like what else what like kind of like dangerous thing I could do. I will shovel the bottle up my ass.
Okay,
If Joe Biden dies on live television tonight, I will shove a bottle of vodka up my ass.
okay. I got an even more dangerous one. If Joe Biden dies tonight, you have to beat the entire DLC of Elden Ring. Good fucking luck, because I'm mauling over here. I'm so down bad. I'm getting one-shotted and shit. I got all max everything. Doesn't matter. I'm just
Biden's been
shit
dead
all
for
day.
a year at least.
I also just want to point out, look, the debate hasn't even started. Look at this fucking rate, the dislike ratio.
Oh my god.
That's
good job.
The
That's-
debate hasn't even started, and it's this bad. That's how you know.
That's all you got to know.
Mm-hmm.
This is the earliest a debate has ever been done in the U.S. at least, and I think the reason why they're testing Biden. If he bombs in this debate, they're going to replace him at the convention. That's what they're doing here.
Yeah, that's what the Daily Mail article said.
I think they do well to replace him regardless. I mean, what has he got left, really?
He doesn't no idea where he is half the time.
Dude,
he just kind of
he doesn't have another 4 years. There's no way they can't want to make.
He's 82. He doesn't have another 4 years. Whatever how old he is.
Dude, imagine. You remember, like he was like even back in like 2020 when he was like first running. It wasn't like as bad as it is now. Like in 4 years, he went like that.
Well,
and it's just getting worse.
In
2020,
keeps
getting worse.
Yeah, no.
Like, you notice how it's coming out daily now? It's literally like there's a Caitlin Johnstone piece on that.
Come on, guys, give me a break.
That's narrative management. That's what it is. I mean,
I have a great video on that. All right.
But I'm contributing to the cause. If you can go on CBS News, it's the only way to watch it on YouTube.
I can't even get on Rumble.
CNN is really that bad. That's how bad CNN is.
I can't even get on Rumble. That's how bad it is. It just crashed for me.
Yeah, no, they this is the only way. CBS, they got it in with CNN. So, and then that was
I
it.
can't even get on Rumble. It's like crashed. I mean, that's how many people
There's
are on
100,000 watching. That means that's like,
oops.
If that's not on TV, then
100,000 watching two virtually identical candidates who
probably a lot more
are going to do nothing meaningful for the country.
Yes, and no, that have no stake in any of this.
There's nothing fundamental is going to change, regardless.
No,
nothing fundamental. No, not that.
Well, all it's going to be is basically two children insulting each other the whole time, and neither of them have any clue what it's like to be regular folk.
That's the thing. Neither of them they don't. Neither of them do. Holy shit.
They're the same. Joe Biden is a racist. They're all the same.
And that's how you know what kind of dictatorship we live under. It's because look at our leaders. They're never the proletariat. They're never working class people. They're always affluent people. Same up here in Canada. They're always affluent motherfuckers with a lot of money. They're not people who would actually represent the needs of the majority of people. These are people they elect to serve the rich people. Yeah. Of course. We all know that.
Our two best candidates in America is a game show host and an old man that's barely functioning.
Yeah,
that's our two best candidates. That's how bad it is.
We're at.
That's the best we got. Yes, that is. Couldn't find a doctor, a scientist, Engineer.
It's okay. Up here we have a rich shit lib versus a rich, basically, a rich shit lib. So it's just two rich shit libs essentially. So
Trudeau is a. If he lost, I'd be like, oh, fun. I mean, I can't stand that prick. And I'm an American. I'm not even Canadian. What is the CIA logo doing here?
what?
I saw a CIA logo here. That's why I'm like, oh, it's on
Brought to you.
CBS.
If they do like a brought to you by the CIA at this point, I'm not even gonna blink.
No, I'm not
sorry.
surprised.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna.
The
I'm not gonna be surprised, and there's gonna be no fucking gasps.
The CIA controls the media. All of us. All the media. Look at that.
Of course.
It's the Five Eyes.
Here in America, at least. Maybe around the world. I mean, the CIA is like they overthrew governments. I mean, they've killed people. They tried it in Bolivia again. They tried it. It failed, but. And I'm sure the CIA is behind that. I don't care if people say, well, I mean, technically it wasn't. I was like, no, they're behind it. They did the first overthrow when they overthrew Morales the first time. The CIA did that.
And that was Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That was technically Trump. So
yeah, he was president then.
Mm-hmm.
So that just goes to show like how all of it like kind of just the foreign policy doesn't change. They both tried to coup Bolivia,
and
I bet they tried to run on that.
And
who can coup Bolivia? They both sucked at fucking coupping Bolivia. They can't do it.
Can you imagine if they got into a fight tonight over like who would do a better like Gaza genocide? Be like, listen, if you vote for me, if you vote for me, I'm going to blow up twice as many brown people.
I guarantee you that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no,
they're going to fight over not Bolivia, Palestine, Palestinians.
Yeah, no, they're they're both going to shill as hard for Israel as possible, and it's a contest. Who shills the most for Israel?
The funniest comment I saw was someone was like, "It would make my day if Trump called Biden Genocide Joe," and I'm like, first off, he would never come at him from that angle.
He already did that. He did that.
Well, to be fair, he did that.
He did that at a rally once, yeah.
Really?
There was Trumpers in the back chanting Genocide Joe.
Hypocrisy doesn't bother Trump. He doesn't care. It's like, oh,
that's true though.
Genocide.
That's true though, and that's true for essentially all narcissists. What they do is like Trump. I guarantee you.
Wait,
if
they're gonna do fact checks tonight,
falls into the
of course
misinformation space, forensic journalism.
Oh my god!
7 days a week.
Fucking
no!
Basically,
come on.
Tonight,
what are we doing, guys?
Confirmed team.
Oh
to
my
take a
god!
look at the things that the campaigns
this
the
is
candidates
just
say tonight that
wow.
need a fact check. Either there's missing context or it's a complete falsehood. We will explain all of that, and
or to finish a sentence.
But throughout this process,
explain what this means.
This is why they
verify something is true, or identify it as something false, or something in between. We'll not only explain the verdict we've reached, but how we got there.
That's excellent. I think we're all looking forward to that. It's such an important element of what we do is fact-checking this. I also just think about having covered so many presidential contests. We usually have
that's what they legitimately believe. That is literally what they believe.
Tax plan.
I know.
That's what all these fuckers believe.
Or in the case of Trump, who has talked about
It's
a
so
lot of things that he was going to unveil.
We got to fact
it just
check
hasn't
you guys.
happened. There's no
and
big
Trump is a liar, so
think about how much we used to talk about
not
healthcare.
Biden. They won't fact check
in the Obama
Biden.
years. And
Even if he
it
lies
was
to
a
his teeth.
constant, and then in the Democratic primary,
they'll
one of the
fact-check
things is
Trump
that
all day
ideas
long.
weren't really debated in the Republican primary
Oh,
because
look
the
at the
major
chief
candidate didn't
political
participate.
analyst.
So we haven't
moron.
had debate. Policy debates have kind of died out over the last several cycles, but it really now is threadbare, and that's one of the challenges for the moderators tonight, which is to get them to do more than just give kind of a top line, but in fact articulate what and how their policies work.
And you got some pretty hefty.
Seen anything like this before either. That's
the policies are make the rich richer, make the poor poorer, and blow up the Middle East. That's both their policies. Sorry, guys, I just spoiled it for everybody.
Very fascinating.
Trump and Biden hate.
I'm not
they're
happy
going to
with
fight
my
who hates
choices.
brown
I think back to the debate that y'all moderated in early 20.
They're going to fight over who hates brown people more, probably.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the fight. Be like, no, listen, I got a whole library of games where I just blow up brown people. Okay, you love brown people. No, you love brown people. Like, I'm sorry. I love watching this bullshit as someone who is outside of this whole matrix. I remember when I was. Do you guys remember when you were inside this? Do you guys remember when you were watching this kind of shit and you were like just taking it at face value?
Yes, I do. I remember that. The Bernie and Hillary debates in 2016, I was like, oh, what a great point by Bernie. Boo, Hillary. It's like, oh, that was 8 years ago, and I feel so stupid.
Oh, yeah, guys, by the way, watch the gas prices stay exactly the same. And they won't say anything about it. But the gas prices are here to stay. I'm sorry. Trump's not changing your gas prices.
But the Saudis are going over the BRICS. The Saudis is like, fuck America. We're going over the BRICS.
Yeah, dude, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Do you notice 60 Minutes released a show?
Dude, we pissed off. That's it. We pissed off Russia. We pissed off Iran. You know who's the two biggest sources exporters of oil?
Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Well, no, it's Russia and Iran, but Saudi Arabia's got a lot too. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
a big part.
And Venezuela too. They got a shit ton, but we're their enemy, so it's like there's no chance we'll get gas. Even though, to be fair, back in 20 years ago, Venezuela had a company, and they would give away free oil to Americans. I've seen those ads. What was it? What was their company called? They were here in the U.S. giving out free oil.
That's part of the whole kind of green energy agenda too. I mean, not I'm not.
Yeah.
But,
wait a minute.
Like the convertible energy. Like if you're anti-nuclear, then it's like.
Yeah, that's the thing with the with liberals. They're anti-nuclear, but at the same time, they want to cut off gas and stuff. Like, okay, nuclear is the cleanest energy we got, as far as we know. You gotta build more nuclear power plants.
There's kind of like a reason why the rest of it.
And I know there's a risk for a meltdown, but meltdowns, Chernobyl doesn't happen every day.
I'm waiting for Joe Biden to die tonight. I do think Joe Biden might die tonight.
What if they both just start fucking? What if they both just start fucking each other? Like a Bruno moment.
If it wasn't for,
they just start fucking.
If it wasn't for this show, I wouldn't watch this shit. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't watch this shit.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'd be watching this with crackers and cheese. Be all fancy about it.
Fuck it, yeah. Yep, break out the.
I wasn't here with you guys. I wouldn't watch.
You want to play this drinking game or what?
Oh yeah, I already drank half my bottle, so I was like, but yeah, I mean,
Jesus.
In the debate, haven't started yet.
Imagine if it just ends up romantic, like you know that you remember the Hillary and Trump memes that came out in 2016?
Oh my god, I remember those. Those were so.
That was.
Oh my god.
That was what woke. That was like the whole. That was like my start. Basically, it was just memes.
Okay, BRB, 1 sec.
I think memes really indoctrinated the world.
One of the biggest wake-up calls was when Obama said he was going to close Guantanamo and then didn't.
Close it.
Like, right away was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. I was like, you lying sack of shit.
We look forwards, not backwards.
No, I never felt like this before. Yes, I swear.
It's better than watching whatever. Bill's just like, what is that?
I remember the shit. The shit was so fire.
I've never seen this.
That's the old videos where you see people dancing like.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You should see my 1920s dancing.
Well, Rothman still works at least. Okay. A little bit.
All right. We got 3 minutes to go by my time. So,
yeah.
Yeah, we're
receiving record numbers of migrants.
Today, we're going to have more than 500 adults and children come through that door.
Tensions rise as shelters reach max capacity.
We don't have to take care of
CBS Reports goes inside
that's
the
the
crisis
plan.
cities and families are facing
this migrant crisis is done on purpose in order to piss off the poor.
No.
We gotta fight them in order to stop
on the free CBS.
Pause for 1 second there. Whitney Webb had a take, real quick. Whitney Webb had a take about this, and I can't stop thinking about it. She said the migrant crisis or whatever, the crisis at the border. She said that's to get conservatives and liberals on board for the digital ID shit. Because she's like, that's going to be their solution. You need a digital ID to get into America.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's... And I can't stop thinking about that. That makes perfect fucking sense.
That's what E-Verify. E-Verify is kind of like
she predicted vaccine passport. She's on the money with it.
She
knows what.
Yeah, Whitney Webb is. If you want an ultimate red pill, check out Whitney Webb shit. She'll break it down. All right, 8:59. We are.
This debate should have started by now. I thought it started at 8:50.
Perspective.
Unless I messed up. I don't know. On YouTube TV, it starts at 8:50.
An original documentary from CBS Reports.
Since you started La Soup in 2014, do you have any sense as to how much food you've rescued from the landfill?
We've rescued 4.5 million pounds.
I can't even fathom how much food that is.
And that's one little person in one little city in America. We're going to call this chicken piccata. We did 450 meals today.
This is the exact dish that you and I are going to have.
Yep.
And you got people going hungry here in America.
Oh my God.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Having a plan of how to keep people fed.
I think food bank usage up here is up like 20-30%.
Yep, it is. Nobody can afford to eat. Nobody can afford to own a home. Rent is
I'll be straight up.
Roof.
I'll be straight up. I go to food pantries. I go to at least 2 of them in order to get enough food for the month.
Hey, let's normalize not making that a point of shame.
Yeah.
Okay? We're all in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
Use what you got to use, man.
Yeah. That's why I tell my audience in my shows, like, yeah, I go to food pantries, at least 2 of them.
Yeah. Sometimes I eat some squirrels to save on the food bill, you know? They're fucking great. Some raccoons. No, I never eat a raccoon. They're too cute.
How dare you attack a raccoon?
I know.
How dare you?
Those fuckers keep figuring out how to get into the trash. All right, it's muted, I believe.
Yes, muted.
Weekdays at 7.
Oh, here we go.
Couldn't be higher.
The stakes couldn't be higher.
It's 9:01, by the way. My prediction that this is going to be 2 minutes late.
This is a CBS News special.
This is the same thing every election.
The first presidential
it's like it's the
debate.
big
Now
election of all
reporting,
time.
Nora O'Donnell.
They agree on everything.
Good evening. We are just moments away from one of the most consequential
Still
events of this presidential campaign.
It's not consequential.
President Biden and former President
I was right. They're delaying it.
Of the general election, the two meeting for the first time
Biden
since
needs his
2020.
Adderall. He needs more Adderall.
They will outline their contrasting visions for America.
They
This
need
is
to
also
bring in
a chance
another
for you,
Biden.
the vote.
Dude, and you know what? They probably have him on like the CIA cocaine from the South America.
Couldn't they just use a body double essentially, though?
So, actually, the Third Reich did a lot of meth. That's how they did Blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
So Hitler's pharmacist jacked him up with heroin and basically like a speed. It was basically like the German equivalent of a speedball every morning.
Yeah, that's why Hitler was always like, it's like,
yeah, and he's like shaking in his chair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's because he was like fucking doped up on a speedball.
He was jacked up on drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like about to start.
A lot of the Third Reich was like that. So I wouldn't imagine that they're doing the same kind of recipe for Biden.
I wouldn't be surprised. And Hitler was much younger than Biden.
2 minutes to
He's going to be on hella cocaine. They're both going to be on hella cocaine.
And rebuttal.
They're going to be on crack.
For follow-up clarification or response is at the
All right, let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
I'm going to hate this because the on and off on the mics is so stupid.
Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home.
Why not? I want to hear what he has to say.
Will get 2 minutes for
like, how BS is this?
No studio
like, it's so obviously controlled.
Yeah, and there's no audience.
Campaign staff are not permitted during the debate.
It's the most like
by
tampered
accepting our
ever.
invitation to
Yeah, why did
both
Trump
candidates
say
and
this?
their campaigns agreed
Wait,
to accept.
there's no audience at all?
Now,
no, there's no
welcome
audience.
The 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden.
Look at him. Why is he waving? There's nobody there. He's like this. There's nobody there.
And please welcome the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Blah, 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 blah.
See, that's the difference. Trump didn't wave it. He knows nobody's there.
Now live, pee-pee versus poo-poo.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden,
okay, here we go.
The economy, stupid. It's always the economy.
Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President
Look at his
Trump?
face.
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president.
Every president says this. Every fucking president says this. Every goddamn president says this.
All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy
Oh my gosh, he can't stop.
That's a lie.
Come on. It was terrible. And so what we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs, and we brought out the position where we have 800,000 manufacturing jobs.
He's doing bad.
15 be done. Working class.
Biden.exe has stopped working.
The jobs he created are shitty gig jobs. It
things
sucks.
weren't able to be met during the month. It was a problem. The price of eggs, the price of gas. The
I'm
price
already
of
good
housing,
angry.
The price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those
Because
problems.
there's a fairly big delay on this one, too. Is there like 5 or 7 minutes?
It's like 1 or 2 minute delay or something like that.
It's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs.
Because
we
of
made sure
COVID.
we had a situation where...
Of course it was chaos. There was chaos in his administration.
It's so like
Rumble crashed, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I
Rumble
can't get in
crashed
at
for a
all.
while. I can't get in either.
Oh really?
Weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's. Well, fucking is it?
it straight up crashed. Rofkin still works, but yeah, Rumble's just crashed. I can't get in. It says bad gateway.
I'm checking how X is doing. X is doing okay, so let's just keep going.
We brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for
People can't afford it still.
As opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year.
At least
Canadians my man.
After they're dead, of course.
So we're working to bring down.
He's just reading off a script.
Thank you, President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did,
what other countries were copying you?
Wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we
had China.
29. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good.
You continue the wars.
Thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country, but other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, the bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Is Biden
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks that we have the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion.
You reward the wealthy too, motherfucker.
Trump is proud of those tax cuts. I feel like he's embarrassed by those tax cuts.
More jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover.
He brags about
the
those.
idea that he did something that was significant in the military. You know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that.
And you are too,
when he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is
he confused?
I'm the only president.
Oh, you're funding a genocide. Come on.
No, but Trump continued to kill people in Afghanistan.
You can't be like, this guy did more imperialism when you're funding ethnic cleansing. You expired potato. You potato that was found at the back of Walmart that fell out of the garbage. Fucking Jesus Christ. This is already great. Let's keep going. Oh my God.
Problem with
oh my God.
It's both completely controlled, and that they're paused in their mics. They can't like go back at each other. It's basically just like reading a script back and
it's
this is way more boring than any other.
Yeah, this is a lot.
Hey, let's see.
This is terrible. This is actually.
If it
let's
wasn't
let
for
him
you
go.
guys, I wouldn't watch
Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
You want allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with them.
They don't even know the rules. They don't even know.
That we gave you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive
So
them higher.
dumb.
It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others. In all fairness to China, it's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things.
The Chinese already gives a lot of money.
The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said
you can't do that.
Inflation. He inherited almost
like there's rules.
You can't do that. He's like a little kid.
What
does that mean?
You can't do that.
I think what he means is.
Okay, well, sorry. Which is it?
Reopened.
Which is it though? Because you can't you can't be like, I inherited this mess from the previous dude, and then also be like, oh, but like he's taking credit for our shit. You gotta pick a thing. Like, holy fuck.
Almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with
No, he was.
No.
with power.
No,
He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
Well, to be
That
fair,
President Trump,
embarrassing.
over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And
But hey, no, the Taliban got in, and you know what? They got rid of all the poppy seed fields.
Yeah. We were going.
No more cocaine.
Then you wonder who's funding the global heroin trade.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Taliban. It's not the Saudis. They don't like
Rumble
it.
is like
a new nonpartisan analysis,
dead.
President Trump, your administration approved
I don't know
$8.4
what
trillion in new debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that were signed into law are set to expire.
He looks lost.
You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was
back into our country. Okay.
We were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet.
This doesn't.
Under our feet. We were going to have
my fucking guy. Okay, we live under capitalism. Okay, it's not like he's literally just doing trickle down. That's all he's doing here. He's doing trickle down. He's like, we brought in all this money. No, it went to the fucking capitalist dude. It didn't go back into the economy because these fuckers hoard wealth like dragons.
You know.
Oh my god.
Apple's holding over $1 trillion.
We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. When the vaccine went out, he did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our
You did the vaccine, bitch. That's on you.
He acts like
a third-world nation. Between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done, we've become like a third-world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask.
I love how they always blame everyone else but themselves for their country. Oh, it was the immigrants. No, it definitely wasn't the people that lived here their whole lives.
We'll get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
This should be
the
good.
Largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefits the very wealthy.
But I gotta go
what I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? We're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million. 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening?
Yeah, just numbers don't matter. Just go, Queen.
2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%.
What happened to these fact checkers they brought in?
$500 million.
I don't know. It just went away. Where did they go?
Right, wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me. With,
what? I didn't understand what he said. I didn't understand what he said.
Task manager, bring up task manager. Okay, bring up Biden task manager. We got to figure this out. I don't know.
What the fuck he said? He's looking down. He's done.
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
Yes, we know Biden. We know you beat Medicare.
They're putting them on
What?
on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely
Except for all
criminal.
the wealth generated, you know.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you have Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders.
Biden
and what
looks
I
lost
did
again.
is I put 3 great Supreme Court
He's gonna
justices
die.
on the court, and they happened to vote in favor
He's
of
dying right
killing
now.
Roe v. Wade and moving
gonna
it back
die.
to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result. It was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say, the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart.
That's Roe versus Wade.
You have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars...
He's going to die. He's going to die. He's going to die right now.
And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she
Who went to the funeral?
What
is he talking about?
Here's the deal. There's a lot of young women being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses.
This is bad.
Oh, man.
And they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them across state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place
Digital
anywhere in
ID.
the world. And he opened it up, and these
Just
killers
saying.
are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing.
What does that mean? What do you mean it's the opposite?
Everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back.
Like, they're not saying anything of substance. They're just continually being like,
to do it. And again,
no, we did this, we did this, we did this.
And that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Well, they're both gone.
President Biden,
Holy
7
shit.
states. I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion.
He's shitting. He's shitting and farting right now. He's shitting and farting.
On how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy.
I support it.
Here's Biden shitting and farting.
Which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor. Between the woman and the state.
What did he say?
The idea that the politicians, the founders wanted the politicians.
Is it me? Am I drunk, or what are you saying?
No, this is like gaslighting everybody in real time.
A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run.
No, the patient makes the decision.
And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
No, you won't.
You are elected.
In the 9th
you
month,
are literally in
and even
charge.
after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it
No,
after birth. Again, the governor former
Maybe he forgot. Maybe he forgot.
Then we decide what to do with it.
Look
So
at him.
he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
The baby out of the room.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Under
Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years.
Yeah, that's why you're idiots.
It was the right way to go.
There's nothing radical about this party.
And it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security.
And
President Biden, a record number of migrants illegally crossed the southern
They
border.
didn't let him respond to that? Because that was a pretty high charge.
Overburdening
He tried
cities
it. He's
such as
like
New York
this,
and
but the
Chicago,
mic
and in
is
some
muted.
cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
I mean, as much as American politics are a show, this is a travesty even for a show.
This is a terrible show. This is the worst Monday Night Raw I've ever fucking seen. This is like the Thursday show.
And I've seen a lot of bad Raws over the years.
By the way, the Border Patrol
Yeah,
endorsed
same.
me, endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where, when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages.
Mothers.
Families were separated. That's the right way to go.
This is
What
the
I've done
rewind.
since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now
should bring up
you're in a
Obama.
situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office.
That's not true.
I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative. Asylum officers.
Oh,
I don't even know what he said at the end of that sentence. We had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was he decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum. Terrorists.
Reagan
We have the
did
largest
that.
number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America.
What are you talking about?
From the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Just speak to him. But
I won't say that.
We
You
had the
just
safest
did.
border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
President Trump. President Biden.
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration.
What?
What the fuck?
American soldiers.
Bro!
How many illegals that kills Americans?
Dude, fire up command prompt, run check disc.
We're welcoming these people.
It happened
That's
in
simply
Houston
not
last
true. There's
week.
no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything.
He said
He's the one
huge.
to kill people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state.
Who's
in the
they?
union, because we don't have borders
What is it?
anymore. Every
What are you
state is
talking about?
and because of his ridiculous,
Where are these people?
insane and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And they're reading it.
That's
these
terrible.
Incredible young girls over the last few
Very
days.
low energy, Donnie.
One of them, I just spoke to the mother. And they just at the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country. We're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of
I think Biden's melting. I think Biden's actually melting.
All of the different things I approved.
The VA is bad under his administration.
We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border.
Is it crazy?
Allowing all of these people to come in.
It's crazy.
It's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one.
You can't just say
Veterans are a
that.
hell of a lot better off since I passed
Make
the
a
fact out.
point.
1 million of them now have
Just
insurance,
one.
and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those
Who
burn
dropped
pits in
Agent
Dr.
Orange? Oh, right,
State's
you
Berkeley,
guys.
Oklahoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke about those heroes.
Were you?
I went to the World War II cemetery.
surprised you remember he was
World War
in
I
France.
cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the
Bro,
loser.
this is a rerun.
First of all, that was a made-up quote. Suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials.
I'm surprised
We've notified
he
him.
said it.
We had
His son
19
didn't
people
die
that said
in
I didn't
Iraq.
say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19
This is so
people
bad.
that said
This
it
is
was
so
never said
fucking
by
bad.
me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made
This
up.
is so
just
fucking
like the
bad.
51 intelligence agents are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking, it's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation.
Hunter.
He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
Call him the crackhead.
Four-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period.
I can't understand.
That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
We've done more?
And they now are in their families.
American history.
The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now.
You shouldn't be going to war.
We're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on
about the question?
A bit of information. As far as
Biden
Russia
livened
and
up a
Ukraine,
bit.
if we had a real president, a president that knew
the adrenochrome's kicking in.
he would have never invaded Ukraine.
Oh no, he's frozen again.
Now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. That when Putin watched that, and he
did you hear the question?
He should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror.
I like how America blatantly
no
brags about how they use the financial system for their own means.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, malarkey. Situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did.
What? I can't understand what he said.
What?
I need fucking closed captioning or subtitles.
Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv. He in fact didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done, and they've lost thousands and thousands.
Can America do anything without fucking throwing in some "I hate communism"? Can they do anything at all? Honest question.
Putin's terms acceptable to you?
Because that's how damn bad they are.
They're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion
Rumble's back.
To Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have 1 minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear.
So have you,
He wants to
you piece of shit.
What was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's
Soviet Empire again.
Again. Do you think he'll stop when
There's no evidence Putin wants a Soviet Empire again.
What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war...
Nah, he wouldn't be that based.
Boom. If in fact he does what he says and walks away...
Yeah, he doesn't want World War III with NATO.
All that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone.
Here we go.
United Nations Security Council, straight through the G7 to the Israelis, and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
What is this, like underpants gnomes? Just the war ends after that?
To get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas.
I call it. I call it. They're going to fight over who's better at doing a genocide. Let's fucking go. This is the part that's going to get me angry, probably.
Ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel. And so there are 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated.
No mention of the fucking Palestinians at all. At all. At all.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us.
You cocktease. You fucking suck.
Spent $100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel is the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we should
pull out of NATO.
Based, secretly based. Yes, NATO should be disbanded.
In Europe, a major war in Europe. What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all.
That's not our problem.
We want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about. Go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine, and then move on to Poland and other places.
Oh, they're going to chill over this now.
Then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea. Because
why would he go into Poland?
This dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world.
Well, that was the wrong side of World War II. You're on the wrong side of it.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is
absolutely not.
No, he
so they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations.
Deflection.
Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, no. They don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up millions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And I said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next month.
Why is he talking about
But now we're in the same position. We're paying
because he doesn't want to answer that question.
President Trump, I want to ask you about.
He didn't even touch Gaza.
After you rallied your supporters that day,
he didn't even answer the question.
The Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few.
The border?
On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the
okay. He's going back to the whole things are better underneath thing. Okay.
All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
Guys.
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about,
Biden had a
where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see. I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to the Capitol, number one. I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it.
What are you supposed to do?
They talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll not forgive them for what they
Well, he can't do anything because it was a psyop.
Convicted. So he says he wants to.
That's right. I don't know what he's supposed to do.
That's the answer to that.
No.
What do you do against a psyop? You can't do anything.
I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said no, this guy.
Hey, Himbo, look at the private chat.
That was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out, and now he's
buddy, for sure.
Such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
It's impossible. Pause it for a sec. Sorry, pause it for a sec.
Man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, he is.
Yeah, so I believe our comrade Yeti will be dipping out early. So I wanted to say thanks so much for joining us, homie. If you guys...
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. I always enjoy it. I just am a little tired this last couple of weeks, so...
This is really boring, I know.
No, it's fine. It's putting me to sleep, too.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's not helping, that's for sure.
No, it's not.
And I'll see you guys then.
All right.
Follow Yeti Jesus if you haven't, guys. And, yeah, stay tuned. Because we got some cool stuff coming up.
Yep.
What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows.
Only one person died. It was a Trump supporter.
Turned over desks, turned over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him in the first two debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing to, will you denounce?
How are people supposed to even pick, like, a choice out of these two fucking...
The people attack that?
What
are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up.
It's like mimicked here.
After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
Look at
at a
his
very high
face.
level. His son is convicted.
Well, yeah,
He'll be convicted
his son
probably
is a
numerous
convicted
other
felon,
times.
too.
Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse.
It's almost like there's nothing fundamentally
But he
different.
could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border. Telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to get $1 billion or you change the prosecutor.
Task manager. Got to bring up task manager.
That's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you said, I'm coming to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea
this is a man.
Anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history.
You did against MAGA Republicans, didn't you? Did you not?
Think of all the civil penalties you have. How many?
You guys are just fucking
civil penalties for molesting a woman.
Like mimic tier. There's no virtual difference between either you pieces of shit.
On the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about?
What? You molested your daughter.
Yeah.
You molested your daughter and you sexually harassed Tara Reid. So.
And what's worse is
that was a case that was
this fuckface showered with his daughter.
It's
gross.
High-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up way up.
I can't get over Joe Biden's face.
We took in more money in the last 2 weeks.
What they did was my asshole exploded. It exploded and money came out of my asshole.
Has ever taken hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't.
I can't do this anymore. I'm drinking.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, "quote Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans
I had one ready.
American democracy."
I got a drink for this.
Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy.
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road.
What?
He's got a whole range of issues he has to face.
What American democracy?
But I knew
we're not democracy.
Problem. And so
oh my fucking God!
Any president say that
we aren't a democracy.
Do you ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again.
Whoa, you're funding a genocide. Clearly you think Hitler has some good ideas too, because you're funding the same thing.
Torches and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman I spoke to the mother.
Again, you're funding a genocide.
And the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? And this is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. Good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville.
You're right, because you're all dog shit. You all fucking suck.
Every anchor has
you're all corporate whores. You all take it in the ass for big business. All of you do.
It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden.
And debunk. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought there were good people coming out of that
he already got elected. He was president.
Woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about.
Oh, he did the weird Joker smile.
We saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people
Creeps me
breaking
out.
through windows. We saw people occupying.
Fuck January 6th.
No, he talks about that. Stop it.
Of his 44 top
I'm going to start crying.
Choose to endorse him this time.
I'm going to start crying.
Endorsed him this time. So why?
He is shitting and farting.
Well, they serve with him.
They're both shitting and farting.
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Commercial.
We're going to be back with more from the CIA.
Oh, we're doing a halftime show?
I guess.
So. Commercial.
All right, we'll mute this because I'm not fucking. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we can discuss what's so far about the
coming up our series.
Debate.
Wait a minute. Tom,
please no. Please mute it. No, I'm becoming a liberal. Stop. Mute it. Ah! Thank you. Holy fucking shit! I
joke.
At this point, I don't know who's more gone. They're both just fucked. You guys. America is like this is. I didn't think it. I thought it was going to be really bad. It's somehow worse. It's worse. What are you guys' thoughts? Did you think it was going to be this bad?
As an American, I'm humiliated because you're Canadian, so
I didn't have a high expectation of this.
No.
Okay, so if it makes you feel better, again, our parliament, our whole government stood up and clapped for a Nazi. So,
yeah, so
if it makes you feel better, that's the ultimate L. Nothing that's happening here is even close to clapping. You're watching your whole government clap for a Nazi. So, we're fucked too.
To be fair, I shouldn't be that humiliated. But still, I mean, it's humiliating. Our two best candidates is a game show
really
host and Joe Biden, falling apart.
Where Trump says, it's like our country's embarrassing.
Huh?
Remember when he said he was talking about Afghanistan and shit, but he was talking about how other countries look at us and it's like a joke, which is very true. The entirety of Europe thinks we're a joke.
You know what's the funny thing though?
Yeah.
He did that classic narcissist double speak because he's everybody looks at us like we're a joke, but other countries are copying us. So which is it?
Which one is it? Yeah. Because
if you look at policies, they barely changed. Joe Biden didn't really change anything fundamental. So what exactly are they copying? And I know he doesn't think about any of this. He just whatever shit, he just no filter, just whatever. I get it. That's his thing. Narcissists don't have filters. But you can't have both. You can't simultaneously have countries are copying the U.S. Which first off, which countries are copying the U.S.?
Europe, Western Europe.
It's not China. It's Ukraine because they're getting subjugated, if you will.
The Ukraine. Let me try it again. It's not Biden. Zelensky wants peace now with the Russians. I'm not sure you saw this on Twitter, but
I did. And my point was, you could have had that years ago if you just didn't listen to fucking Bojo, you idiot.
Yeah. Now he wants peace with the Russians. He's
good.
Let's negotiate a deal. Come on, please. I mean, I'm sorry.
Good. You know what? I hope they do make peace. And you know what?
Yeah,
I hope they all become the new Soviet Union, just so these fucking idiots can lose their minds forever.
Well, we're back now, looks like. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go. I'm going to slam some beers.
Certainly face again.
We are
5 minutes behind. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earned far less than white families.
What about Latinos?
Black mothers are still more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
Don't worry, black people will vote for you.
Number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporate rations that keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We've got to make sure we provide for child care costs.
In half.
We've got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So
what is happening in his brain?
But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting it
You have 49 seconds.
Do I need to drink more beers? Will that help?
Voters who are disappointed.
Am I too sober for this? Do I need to just get drunk and then it makes sense?
I'm pretty hammered myself, so.
Wait, and you're still fuck. Should I shotgun a beer?
To be able to buy their first home, so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteers, if they paid their bills for 10 years and their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more.
Oh, you guys are fucked.
And he caused the inflation.
Yes.
He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation.
Capitalism caused that.
So good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all of the other, all this money that's being
Green New Scam.
He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18.
They're taking black jobs.
And even 20 million people.
Hold on, what does black
jobs? They're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet.
Hispanic jobs.
See something that's going to be.
I didn't know jobs were race locked.
No inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment.
Because of COVID.
The economy. Absolutely decimated the economy.
Because
That's
of COVID.
Why there was no inflation.
Because of COVID.
There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, if the ACA has increased, I made sure that they're $8,000 per person.
I'm lost again. Are you guys lost again? I'm lost again.
I don't understand what he's saying.
I can't follow his fucking talking.
I need captains.
Is it just because I'm ADHD? Like, is this like an ADHD like hex or something?
We put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity.
He wants to cut the cops? What do you mean cut the cops?
No, he
What do you mean?
There's a lot
He
going
wants
on,
to increase
but
the
in
cops.
inflation, he caused it by his tremendous
bullshit.
Feasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge
Bro,
is the.
I think this motherfucker's about to die.
2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across.
I want to die too. Can we die first?
Extreme heat.
Do we got some Kool-Aid? God damn it!
And rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
I wouldn't take action.
To what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name. And he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it. And
Bro, you've literally said the hard R.
They see what I did for criminal justice
Again,
reform.
you guys are just the same thing.
Colleges and universities where I funded them and got them all funded. And the opportunity.
Where is he looking?
Tim, as you know, Tim Scott.
Joe, what?
He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic programs ever in the country. Opportunities on.
They cut him off.
The biggest beneficiary
every
are
time
blacks,
he
and
goes
that's
to
why
CNN and cuts
we
him
have
off.
the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever the best numbers.
Again, watch.
He's
They're gonna
lost
cut him off.
much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for
Not
black
this
people.
time.
He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy.
Why the fuck are you talking about water? What?
In my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental.
What is this?
That statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
Did she ask about climate change?
I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, what are you going to do about the climate crisis? And he was like, water. We had the best water.
He's doing this and
the idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges.
Black colleges.
They don't have
what
the
about
kind of
Latinos?
Contributors they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that
claiming.
He hadn't done a damn thing in the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius, and then
I'm lost again.
No way back.
Yeah, I can't understand the fuck.
He does this shit with his voice that like I can't keep following him. It's weird.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs.
What do you mean?
The migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the best heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
What?
The idea
what?
Is that we, in fact...
What was the question about?
The only
I don't remember.
Consequence.
I don't remember either.
We're not members of the
This is,
How can we do anything?
This is like a jigsaw puzzle.
Under control. One of the largest polluters in the world. Number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half.
You'll be dead by then.
We've made significant progress. And we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people to learn how to deal with climate change.
Not a word about the military-industrial complex, by the way, which is the largest polluter and creator of emissions on the planet. Nobody will mention that.
What's the climate corps?
He's the biggest
the military, the U.S. military is fucked.
It's like Crisis Corps, I think. Same kind of vibe.
And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline.
Guys, my empathy's starting to kick in.
Done to Social Security. Seniors
I just feel bad for these people.
And I'm hammered, so I can't understand.
Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income.
I'm sorry,
of their
I'm
paycheck
yelling here,
every single time they get a paycheck from the time of the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that.
My mom is on Social Security.
The millionaires pay 1%. 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000 after that.
Take away the cap.
Look at Trump's face. Look at Trump's face.
Increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still that would be able to help, keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing will do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times.
Does he though?
And if you look at the program put forward by
the House Republican caucus
that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we're talking about education
the other thing is
raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition.
I don't care. I don't want to finish college.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years.
We know.
I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen that he can look you in the face. About so many other
Joe
things
Biden's sleeping again.
And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine,
the laptop.
Everything he does is a lie.
And
it's
they cut away.
misinformation and disinformation.
Cut away.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it. Because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals.
So we're trying to figure out this new cam
citizens there. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these
they're both so oh my god, I have no words.
Are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony.
China would like a word.
Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession. And inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
Yeah, I don't
President
give a
Biden,
shit
thank you so much.
about
Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue. But the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Dick.
Just to go back. the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is,
look at his face. Look at his face.
I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show. Most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't.
He just goes off.
Did you fire
anybody? Literally powers down.
That's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world.
Powers
Did
down.
Get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions. Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like
deal.
This much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We are the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. We're the finest military in the history of the world. The finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're right. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. It's online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number. Presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst
We're admired
president in American
by definition.
History. Best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea of knowing, doing anything to deal with child care.
Oh, this is so fucking good.
Child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work, and we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm going here 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president.
They're bringing money back into the country. They were bringing it into the arms of capital. You fucking retard. You fucking retarded person.
Apple has trillions of dollars
taxes
in the
on
bank.
middle class
They
people.
do nothing with it.
I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't.
I know this motherfucker knows how capitalism works.
You know what the economists say?
They're bringing money back. No, that money doesn't go back into the fucking
because they're going to have to pay the
economy.
And food.
That's not how capitalism works. It always goes up to the top.
He's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised. He's somehow
what the fuck?
Middle class have been devastated by you.
Man, I'm feeling this is good beer.
$5 trillion for the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history. Number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We're at the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with it. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come. But he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was,
who hates China more? That's what this is.
Addiction right now, who are struggling to get the treatment they need.
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot. And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then
Sorry, give me a sec. I need another beer for this fucking
numbers
shit.
Now?
Holy
it's
shit.
not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues and said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy. And he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly.
I'm asleep.
As soon as I
Real shit.
Before I take
All right.
office, I said,
I'm
as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out.
I think
should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns?
He's going to do the watch me thing.
Capability to handle the toughest job in the world.
Watch it.
Well,
He's going to do the watch me thing.
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate.
Yeah, now you know.
Does that matter?
This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent.
How long
I think
ago?
Just look at the record.
Yeah.
Look what I've
70
done.
years ago?
I've turned around the horrible situation.
Yep, the watch me
I
shit.
said 50
He
million
was
new
a senator
jobs,
before any of us
800,000
were born.
manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. We brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product.
Sir.
So I went and
Sir.
to South Korea. I convinced
Sir.
Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
Bro.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would.
It's so Jover.
Somehow we are this failing country.
Check my Twitter.
I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country
We're
president
not the envy of the
trade
world.
places with the United States of America. For all our problems and all our opportunities.
It's embarrassing
We're the
to be
most progressive
American.
country in the world in getting things done.
Yeah,
We're
and
the
it shouldn't
strongest
be.
country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies.
I say I'm
And
Puerto
our-
Rican.
and those who he cuddles
Bro.
up to, Kim Jong-un, we sent love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with
I
us.
say I'm Puerto Rican most
Thank
of
you.
the time.
Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took exams every year.
I'm sorry.
And, we knock on wood, wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won
Wherever we
2
may
club
have
championships,
wood?
not even senior. 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He
Golf.
can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf
What's he got to
match.
do with golf?
He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was
A little bit lighter?
years
Whoa,
ago. I
you're
feel very
fucking
good. I feel the
obese.
same. But
Like,
I was
come
willing
on.
to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't
Hey,
do
he
well,
lost
I
2
aced him.
pounds. I don't
Dr.
know.
Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was
2 out of
White House
360
and then I took another one, a similar
or
one.
whatever.
And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
Of course, never seen anybody.
Only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's it. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take what he is. Look,
They're
I'd be
arguing
happy to
about
have a
how
driving
fat
license
Trump is.
now. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
What?
But by the way,
They're arguing
I
about
told
their
you before,
golf
I'm happy
game.
to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
They're arguing about their
He's the
golf
6th
game.
handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
They're arguing
They're
about their
actually
golf
arguing
game.
about golf.
Arguing
about their golf game.
Arguing about golf.
Like children.
President Trump, we're
fuck?
going
Let's not act like children.
You
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern.
Let's not act like
that voters have
children.
About you.
Trump saying
Will you
this.
pledge tonight
This is so
that
good.
once all legal
This is
challenges
Keno.
have been exhausted,
This is fucking
that you
Keno.
will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and
No.
you will say right now that political
No,
violence
he's
in
not
any
going
form
to.
is unacceptable.
No, don't accept
Well,
the
I shouldn't
results
have
of
to
the
say
election.
that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose
X.
Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent.
Here we go.
Because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a serious.
You got to give it to Trump. He's good.
And we're a failing nation because of him.
He's good at the bullshit. He's so good at that bullshit.
Military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III? Let him follow.
No, we don't want a War
III. Say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all. An required response.
You already said that too.
The idea.
Bro.
Think of a single leader in the world.
Bro.
Great place with the job I've done.
What the fuck are you doing?
Because we are a powerful nation. We have
what the fuck are you doing?
It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because of our own safety is at stake.
Bro, the whole world is moving on without you.
Let's let Putin go ahead and take.
Nobody likes y'all anymore. Nobody likes us up here either. Because we're stuck with you.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
No.
Just to finish what he said, if I might. Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. You asked me a question before. Would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, "I will never settle until such time." They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election?
Thank you. No. Sorry, this is the only time I'm thanking CNN.
Election? Absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying the country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace.
You already said that, you also demented piece of shit.
Opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks.
Holy fuck. Oh my God.
Up my numbers and
how is this the only two choices?
People understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose a game, you accepting anything,
You're
you can't
such a
stand the
white.
loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate live from Georgia.
I guess not. Biden's got.
All right, mute it. Mute it.
Oh, come on.
We're already.
No, don't pause. Don't pause. Just mute.
Bloody noses or
There you go. Good. Good job.
It was over. Shit.
So I'm sorry.
30 more minutes.
I'm sorry, but what do you guys think of the angle that? Because this is all controlled. This is all pro wrestling. I hope you guys all know that as well. What do you guys think of the angle they're presenting here? Because it's kind of interesting. It's a little interesting because Trump is kind of being fucking retarded, but Biden is just like Bethesda, like System 32 has been deleted, just fucking shutting down. So I'm not seeing like a clear, because in the original debates there was a clear like this person's bad, this person's correct. In this one, it's like they're both dumpster fires. So what I'm wondering, is this a precursor to, huh?
You're wondering as the Canadian?
Yes, I'm wondering as a Canadian.
Okay.
Tell
us.
Is this like a precursor to introducing a new challenger to the game, if you will?
It just gets worse every year. It just gets worse every year.
Because like, here's the thing. Neither candidate looks particularly good right now. And we know we can make them look good or bad. And we all know this is fucking pro wrestling. So, they both look like shit. So, is Biden going to get replaced with someone else? After this, by the way. Which, I'm sorry. I knew he'd be bad. I didn't know he'd be this bad. He's just glitching out. This has been fucking... How long has it been? An hour and a half of him just short-circuiting. He hasn't died yet. I was hoping for that, as you were, my comrade, but unfortunately, that isn't the way it goes. Oh, they're back. We're back. Where's the sound? Thank you.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term.
Oh, man.
We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. We're going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes.
It's a pre-recorded video.
Causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again,
no money for
Ukraine should have never happened.
What?
He talks about all the stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because
the point isn't to rebuild the military.
He's putting a lot of those regulations.
You fucking idiot blob. You fucking retarded blob. You trust fund baby piece of shit. I want to punch him in the face right now.
Space age materials instead of going to Asia.
I hate both these people so fucking much.
Trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump. President Biden, stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
No one wants to listen to that.
And it's over.
Is that it?
Finally.
Yeah,
and so the first presidential debate of the 2024 election season is...
Okay, so we have our analysis, so we can turn this off.
Okay, I want
to... Let's just switch to us talking. I don't want to see this, like... This weird like android. This isn't a human being. It's some weird android. I don't want to see this person's face.
Would you want to see?
No, just switch to us chatting.
This is upset. This is bad. Hey.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys. But I came into this with really low expectations, and somehow they surpassed my low expectations and went even lower. What the fuck did we just watch? What was that? That was like, for me at least, that was like uncanny valley. This is really what y'all are forced to fucking choose?
Yeah.
Really? And people really think the president actually makes the decisions when these are the candidates. Yeah. How does anyone with a functional adult brain believe this?
Wow.
Trump
already said he won the debate. At least his people did.
Of course. And the Biden people are going to be like, yeah, Biden did amazing.
Yeah,
even though he was short-circuiting the whole time. Holy fucking shit. In a perfect world, this would be the moment. Where America...
Do you actually think there's going to be another one?
I hope not. I can't do another one of these.
They schedule one more in October, allegedly.
I think he's done after this. I think they're swapping him out.
No, he's gonna die.
He's gonna be. So he didn't die on air. So I don't have to shove a bottle up my ass.
Yeah, you're let off the hook.
Yeah,
you don't have to put a bottle up your ass, and I don't have to.
So I mean, it would be very entertaining if he did that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that would get a lot of hits. The thing is, like, okay. The funniest things about that were like CNN did a really interesting thing here. And I'm going to tell you guys first off that this is all controlled. This is all like, again, it's pro wrestling. You watch this for entertainment, but you don't take this as gospel. You can't. But it was really interesting. All of the actual hot topic points here, they made Trump be the guy that would deflect it, and then Biden didn't even like touch it. The second they went to Palestine, neither of them even said a word about it. Trump didn't even attempt it. He didn't even go there. So all the shit, same with the economy. They were just like, the economy was better under me. No, it was better under me. Oh, I had to deal with his bullshit. Well, I had to deal with the president. All of the actual issues that you should care about.
That's the problem when you have 2 elections in a row where the candidates are literally the same again. Like how many times in history how many times in American history has that happened?
It's been your whole history, and it's been our whole history in Canada's too.
Well, I know that
that's what we get.
Like, usually like connected to family and shit, but like
that's what you get.
How many times are we going to see? I'm
that's
just
all you
tired.
get.
So like, what I'm not looking forward to is the Trump headlines that are just going to come out constantly, over and over and over again, and then everything's going to be, I don't know. At least it'll be okay to hate the president again. I think that'll be a good. You know, I can get along with liberals again. See, this is the thing about being independent, right? Throughout my day-to-day life, I interact with people all over the political spectrum, and a lot of the times, like, you know, it's mostly like leaning liberal because I'm in a blue state, but like, you know, you do encounter the conservative people, and like, there's points that you can point out, kind of like on both that are good and bad, and kind of bring them down to the middle. Like, you really kind of understand this stuff on like a, you know, on an independent level, like unbiased kind of way. The reality is that everything's fine. They're both terrible in their own way. But yeah, like usually half the time it ends up being like when there's a Republican president, I end up getting along with conservatives again. I know, liberals. And then when there's a Democratic president, I get along with conservatives. Just because, like, you know, it's I enjoy like criticizing the current president with other people.
Yeah,
I feel like that brings more.
Of course.
You know, that's where I'm trying to come at it. So like that tends to happen for me. That's what I see in my.
And it's a good opportunity to you know, radicalize people. Obviously, that's always kind of the dangle you got to take with it. Break these people out of this like fake pro wrestling bullshit. I remember the time when I was a kid when I realized wrestling was fake. It's the same feeling as like when you realize Santa Claus isn't real. It's kind of the same. There's a cognitive dissonance. There's like a breaking of your brain because you realize, oh my god, this isn't actually real. And I believed it was real, and now I have to deal with that, and that's uncomfortable. We need to get more people to this. We need to get more people on this level where they realize that this whole electoralism shit isn't fucking real. Look at this. Ask yourself, within your entire life, I'm just asking everybody right now, in your entire life, when has the material conditions of you and your loved ones gotten better? When has it gotten better? At any point, regardless, red, blue, whatever. When has it gotten better? It hasn't. So whoever's in fucking charge doesn't matter. So stop focusing on electoralism. We know what works. You know what works? What the truckers did in Canada.
I don't think anyone watching is genuinely watching in that kind of sense.
That got the truckers in Canada got those mandates down in record time. The pressure we applied about Julian Assange got him free. Direct action is what matters. This electoralism bullshit, you're just going to get the same crap with a slightly different veneer and like different cultural shit that doesn't appeal to the material conditions of anyone ever. That's all you're getting.
I think we can kind of go beyond the red blue thing. I think kind of everyone understands that. It's a political homeless show. It's like this is the late stage empire in collapse. Like you only see this in fallen Roman. Like it's very similar to Rome, the Roman collapse. There's actually a good
exactly.
Book. I want to make a good. I want to make a book list one day.
We can do that too. That'd be a good thing. Like a recommendation of things to read. That'd be a cool thing on PH.
Yeah.
But also the most important takeaway here in Politically Homeless that I'd like to do about this debate is neither of these candidates are anarcho-Brexists. And that is a sin worse than death.
Yeah. If you're not an anarcho-Brexist at this point, you're out of the game. That's it.
You're done. You're cooked. How dare you?
Angel, are you do you identify as an anarcho-Brexist?
Are you an anarcho-Brexist, Angel?
I identify as whatever will fix this fucked up system.
Okay, so it's an anarcho-Brexist.
That's bricks.
Anarcho-Brexist.
Okay, yeah.
Bricks.
We got another anarcho-Brexist.
So being an anarcho-Brexist means that fuck it, we're just gonna join BRICS, like the United States. We're gonna make peace with everybody and join the United States. That's the whole ideology. Would you like to join our ideology, our cult?
Sure, I would join your ideology.
Okay, you're gonna be an anarcho-Brexist. Okay, that's good. That's good.
He's an anarcho-Brexist.
That was the shit show unfolded. Whoever was watching.
Yeah. I know y'all didn't expect that to be even fucking worse than your like below the surface of the world like bar expectations, but somehow it fucking got there.
That's bad.
Jesus fucking Christ.
October allegedly. Like 6 months from now.
I just started drinking on stream for fuck's sake.
I've been drinking on stream, but it's gonna be Trump versus Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be now. That's the plan.
I almost can be certain about that.
He fucked up too. It's over for him. Mm-hmm. It's so over for him.
Here's my tinfoil thing. Here's my tinfoil thing.
How do you think they replace him?
I still don't think like the replacement for the.
You know the Rockfin broke too.
They'll replace.
I think the Rockfin broke too.
Oh fuck. Yeah.
Well,
a lot of them kind of broke.
Rumble's fine now,
but yeah. The thing is, like, okay. Here's my thing. I think regardless of who they replace Biden with, I think the establishment has kind of chosen Trump as their guy for the next stage, because the next stage is like end stage empire. The next stage is we need to defeat our enemies that are surpassing us. You even saw it tonight in the rhetoric.
Yeah.
Think about what they said about China. Like,
yeah,
that's the guy that's windmill dunking on the United States.
If that's the case, then Newsom can't be president because he has to be president after, so he can raise the empire again. He can't be president now because then the empire's falling.
Newsom can't win. Newsom can't win that.
No, they need a Nero. They need a Nero because they know. Yeah, of course. Trump has always been President Nero. I call this when he got elected. That's Nero. That's how that's the guy that's going to be fiddling while the ashes and the flames.
The violin, yeah. And then who's the hero? It has to be Newsom. Who else could it be? He's the new star of the Democratic Party after Biden.
They could kill Joe Biden and they could assassinate him, and then they have Kamala.
Kamala can't win the election.
That's why I thought he was gonna die tonight. I thought as soon as he fucked up, I thought I really think Biden is on his last straws. I think they have a C4 in his neck that just blows up with poison. As soon as he fucks up, I thought that was what was gonna happen. I thought they were gonna make him pass out or something.
I honestly think at this point. I think at this point, Biden probably died a long time ago, and they have him in some advanced AI apparatus, some advanced cybernetics. You guys have played Cyberpunk, obviously. He's got he's just a meat suit. He's just coming up there, and they're programming what to say, and then the second.
It should have been like Walter Cronkite, like Kennedy when JFK died. Jay Capper come on is like, the president's dead. And that's exactly. It. Like Cronkite did with JFK. I'm sorry, I'm a bad guy. But yeah.
That's pretty fucking good.
The president is dead. Like Cronkite did in 60-something. Kennedy died.
Yeah. Well, anyway, y'all, that was the fucking
for tonight.
dumpster fire. I'd like to apologize in advance. Not in advance. I'd like to apologize in general, I guess, for the bullshit that we just subjected you to. But if I can make one point about it, this shit doesn't matter. Electoralism doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. It's never going to change the way you feed your family. It's never going to change your struggle. Okay? So, tune into Politically Homeless because we'll be talking more about what you can do to help facilitate changing that. Anyway, that's my bet.
I'm getting the clip of that Black Jobs comment. That's a pretty bad one.
The president is dead. Sorry.
It's not good. Believe me, not good.
Nope.
Are we off?
We're fucked.
Sorry.
When Misty says we're fucked.
We're fucked. Have a good